Hello and welcome to Edinburgh Watch Company. My name's Jonathan, and on today's video I ask you a question: is the Rolex Explorer the right watch for you? So, the Rolex Explorer. Well, it's a model that all of you will be aware of. It's been in Rolex's range for many, many years in different shapes and sizes and looks and colors and blacks and whites. And it is just the most fabulous and perhaps one of the most understated models in the range. And today we're going to show you the 36mm right up to the 42mm, from one of the older ones right up to the bang up to date latest 42mm. Now, just a point before we start, I'm going to give you a quick wristwatch check and show you what we're wearing. And here you can see I'm wearing the Zenith El Primero Chronomaster, and this particular one is the Moonface. Now, those of you that have watched my videos for a while will know that I love a sort of gold watch on a leather strap, and this one is just the most beautiful example. It's very like the Patek Philippe, but sadly the Patek Philippe, you need to put another £100,000 in front of this one. And I think this one is a really lovely value watch with a guilloche dial, the chronograph function, and fitted here onto a beautiful leather strap. I think this is a lovely watch. They're now discontinued. It's not actually up for sale, this one, but I thought I would just share this one with you. So let's go and have a look at our first watch. We're going to start off small and we're going to get a little bit bigger as we go along. And here, what better place to start than the classic Rolex Explorer One. Now, 36mm was the case size, and this will be a very familiar watch to those of you who've had Rolexes in the past. And it's still, Rolex obviously still believe in this watch to the extent that they, back in 2021, to celebrate 50 years of Rolex Explorer, they reintroduced the 36mm. So manufactured in stainless steel, the very clear black dial there, very understated, and it's just a very attractive looking watch and naturally designed for those wanting to explore the world. Very, very strong to do that. Of course, it's an automatic watch. It is a chronometer movement as well, and accurate to within about -4 to +6 seconds per day. For those of you that want to swim with it, perhaps go canoeing with it, etc., anything adventurous, don't worry, it's waterproof down to 100 meters as well. So this watch is in fact a 2008 one. Again, like all of our watches, it has all its original box and papers, and it's actually just come back from our service center, having all been checked over, and it's in absolutely pristine condition, ready to be worn for many years to come. Now, the Explorer, I guess, traditionally was a gentleman's watch. Again, at 36mm, it was the same size as the traditional date just, and even the day date. But now they have, a bigger choice of sizing, right up to 42mm. So this size, while traditionally for a gentleman, could easily be worn by a lady as well. I think it would actually rock on a lady's wrist, and of course you can always size that bracelet down accordingly. But just a really beautiful dial with a stainless steel domed bezel here, the crown here on the side locking into the side of the case, and there it joins this oyster bracelet there with that brushed satinized finish there. Some of you might like to fit a NATO strap to it as well, which I think would look really nice. And then here you can see that crown on the clasp there. Now, to ensure this watch doesn't come off when you don't want it to, Rolex fitted an extra cover here that goes over the clasp there just to make it secure on your wrist. And here you have that pressed steel deployment clasp there. Let me just show you what it's like on the wrist. Now, my wrist size, for those that don't know, is an 8-inch wrist. I think this kind of watch, I think it doesn't really matter what your wrist size. I think you can carry it off, because it's almost like a vintage watch, really, isn't it? And those watches were smaller, and I think it still works really, really well. Just an absolute classic all-rounder. So that is the 36mm, now discontinued one, and a really, really nice example of the Explorer One. So now let's have a look at its replacement, the 39mm Explorer. And here we have a beautiful example. So with Rolex listening to their customers who were wanting slightly larger watches. The 36mm got discontinued and they brought out a 39mm, which of course is now discontinued too. But this has been a very, very popular watch for us through the years. And again, for the same reason that people buy the 36mm, I think they want like an understated look. Doesn't cause too much attention to itself, but just a really lovely, legible dial. Now, you got two versions of this watch. This one's in fact a 2019 one with the short hands, and then the later model, of course, had the longer hands on it. But a very unfussy dial there, black with a contrast hour hands and index markers there. Again, that domed bezel and very classic and recognizable look. And again, like the 36, easily this would work with like a NATO strap if you wanted that sort of look for it. Case size here, it's not too thick, not too thin, just really beautifully balanced. And then fitted here onto the oyster bracelet there. And you'll see there, it has that satin look to it as well, so it doesn't really show the scratches quite in the same way as the polished center links. Now, comparing this watch to the 36mm one we had, you'll see here that the deployant clasp was slightly different. In the previous model, it was pressed steel, and now it's solid steel. And good evidence there of how Rolex have evolved this watch and just made it that little bit better than before and stronger. And if I pull the bracelet the way there, you'll see this one here fitted with the Easy Link on it as well, just making it really easy for you to micro adjust on your wrist. I'll show you on my wrist here. Again, just perfect for me. Just feels absolutely lovely on. So with a typical gentleman's wrist size, but 40mm now seems to be the most popular size in the Rolex range. I think the 39mm fits very well and will sort of work for most of you, unless you want that classic 36mm look. But that is a really, really nice watch, and say very, very popular seller. So there's the 39mm, again, say 2019, in absolutely lovely, lovely condition. I think we've got this one pretty well priced as well. We then go back to 36mm, and of course the first watch we showed you, now being discontinued, and celebrating 50 years of the Rolex Explorer, they introduced this watch. And this is back to 36mm. And this is available in stainless steel, or as you'll see here, in stainless steel and yellow gold. And I think this one really came a bit left field. I don't think we could have perhaps predicted that Rolex would bring an Explorer out in steel and gold, but probably in the same way we think, well, gosh, why did they bring a Sea Dweller out in steel and gold? But these guys know what they're doing. And if you think that, you know, like the Sea Dweller, where historically it had always been a stainless steel watch, or people wearing bimetal Submariners, this gave them a chance to have something a bit bigger and a bit different, and perhaps a reason to upgrade their watch. Also, were they looking at the market for the Explorer? Were they thinking beyond the traditional male buyer for this watch? Were they looking perhaps to try and attract the lady market, who might want something a bit sportier, a bit different? And this works very, very well for a lady who would want a watch like this, and we've certainly sold quite a few of them to ladies, or perhaps a gentleman without a big wrist, doesn't want that larger Explorer, in which case this one works very well. So this model here features the new movement that they brought out. So this increases the power reserve from 48 up to 70 hours. Beyond that, it also has more resistance to shock and magnetism as well. So some quite improved features and benefits for the wearer to use. The accuracy is pretty similar to how the latter Rolexes were around that time. You're plus or minus 2 seconds per day. So again, really, really good for an automatic movement. But it is instantly recognizable as an Explorer. Beautiful black dial there, sort of creamy hour hands there with gold borders around them, solid gold domed bezel here. So looking at the bracelet here, this has the oyster bracelet there, which you can see there in stainless steel and yellow gold. Now the links here are solid links, and therefore the bracelet is much more substantial on this watch than the older model. And here you have the deployant clasp, again more solid. You have the safety clasp that goes over the top there, and then we pull that there. Again, you can see there's a more substantial clasp. You can see here on the back there with the green there, it's still got its case sticker on the back. This in fact is a 2022 watch. It's absolutely unworn and a really, really pretty watch to wear. I'll show you on the wrist here. This goes very well with skin tones, I think, and you can see how the oyster bracelet tapers down to where it joins the clasp there. Really good lume on the dial as well for nighttime reading, and of course, like all the Explorers, waterproof down to 100 meters. So I think this size works really well for a lady or a gentleman. So that's a really, really lovely example. Before we go and talk about the new models now, I'd like to just take you back and show you the Explorer 2, which used to of course be 40mm, and this one came in recently and it's a lovely example, and it's one of the later ones. It's in fact I think a 2010 watch, and it has the Rehaut dial on it as well with the Rolex engraving and of course the serial number down at 6 o'clock. It's very easy to see how these watches have been cared for, because you know the Achilles heel of likes of a Daytona or an Explorer is the bezel here, because that's the bits that you know take the knock. So you know if it's been used and abused, you're going to see scratches and dents on it, which you can't really remove because you'll end up polishing off the engravings in black there on the bezel. And this one here is really as nice as it gets. Lovely dial there, black dial, you can see there with the hour markers there in a creamy color there, and then you'll see down at the bottom there you have got that extra red hand on it. Of course, this has the GMT function, so for those of you traveling overseas, you might quite like that. It's also, apart from the bezel, very similar to you know the old GMT like the Pepsis, etc., which are substantially more expensive. So I think the Explorer 2 actually represents really good value for money. This one, of course, like all our other watches, has all its original box and papers, and it's just come back from our service center, just having been checked over, and it's running absolutely beautifully. You've got the Cyclops there, giving you the 2.5 times multiplication on it. And then here, you've got the crown guards on the side, and this crown actually locks into the side of the case. Not too thick either, so this will fit on your wrist really nicely and fit underneath the shirt cuff. It's not going to be too high on the wrist. And then it's fitted to here, the oyster bracelet. And again, you'll see this just the brushed links running through that. So again, not showing the scratches so much as the polish, but it's actually polished on the side there. And then onto the back here, you have the deployant clasp in pressed steel there, and this closes over, and you've got that safety clasp on that too. Now you'll see here on the side there, these little pinholes there, just makes it really, really easy to micro adjust. But of course on the new models, you've got that easy link function as well. So again, both great designs, but this one, again, not everybody has the wrist size to carry off the 42mm, and I think the 40mm works very well. But just look at it there, it's absolutely lovely. It really is. I particularly like the bezel on this. I think that brushed finish with the markers on it, the crowns, the nice size of crown guards. Everything about this watch is right. There's nothing to dislike about this watch. Again, an automatic chronometer movement, waterproof down to 100 meters. It kind of does everything you need it to do. So these are, again, they've been out a long time. There's lots of them around. It's just getting a really, really nice one. And I think if you want to get a great one, this would make a lovely gift for someone perhaps wanting just a classic Explorer, then this one's maybe worth a look at. So there we are. That is the 40mm Explorer. So with just 2 watches to go, we now introduce you to the new Explorer. Now this came out in 2021, and we'll go first of all for the white dial. And this one came in just the other day, and it is the latest model. That's the 226570 42mm Explorer 2. Differences really between this and the one that got discontinued. Well, I think when it was 50 years of the Explorer, us watch enthusiasts were all expecting quite a lot. What would they do to it? Would it be a change in the dial? Would they put a ceramic bezel on it? But there really wasn't much to change, and therefore The prices didn't go through the roof for the new ones or the old ones. However, from a mechanical point of view, it did enjoy a change to the movement. That's the most noticeable thing about it, apart from some other small tweaks to it, but it's the movement bit that I think would interest people. Accuracy to plus minus 2 seconds per day, but a power reserve from 48 right up to 70 hours. So I guess if you're wearing a watch all the time, it wouldn't matter so much, but for those of you like me who love to change their watches and you might like to wear a watch for a couple of days, maybe, then this one would be good, because once fully charged, those 70-hour power reserve just means it will be there, still keeping perfect time for you just to pop back on your wrist. But this is what we call the polar dial. Very, very crisp white dial there. Strong lume on the hour markers there, and a really, really easy dial to read. Now, I bought one of these back in round about 2013, I think it was the original model Explorer 2, the 42mm, and I remember back those days, which was, you don't get these days, the dealer said, well, which color would you like? Would you like the black one or the white one? And it was a really difficult call. I actually ended up going for the black, but I think they're both nice. And I've also seen a few customers actually wearing this on the rubber B strap as well, which absolutely rocks with this orange hand you see there. So you remember on the 40mm one I showed you earlier, you had the red hand for the GMT function. Now it's with the orange hand. So I think works really, really well. Just lovely watching that second hand gliding around the dial there. And still very much a familiar look. Let's just actually put these two together. So let's put the new and old. And you can see there, a very, very similar look, but just that little bit bigger. And when you lift the two watches, you can just feel the difference, you know, with the more solid bracelet on the newer model. But this is an absolutely beautiful watch. Side of the case there, again, all stainless steel, but it's absolutely polished. And then here you can see the oyster bracelet. Again, that has that satin brushed look to it there. And then here, the deployment clasp. Again with a safety clasp there. Nice solid steel as we look through there. And then the stainless steel case back as well. So just an overall superb watch. Again, with an 8-inch wrist. A good size. A really good size. And just a lovely watch. Such a beautiful and interesting dial on that one, I think, as well. With the Explorer written in orange and then the orange hand. It's just lovely as it catches the light. So I'm a big fan of this watch. I think it represents really good value within the range. It hasn't quite got the hype of some of the sports watches. And as I say, at the time of shooting this video today, we have in fact got a choice of two. So on to our last watch in the videos today. This is the black dial, 42mm. Again, the new Explorer 2, the 226-570. And the way the orange hand, I think, contrasts against the black dial, really, really strong. And really just an absolutely beautiful watch. In fact, let's put the two together. Maybe just helping you, whether it's here or another dealer, or perhaps even a Rolex AD if you're lucky enough. You know, which watch would be for you? What do you think would work well? I think, like me, you'd probably be tossing a coin, because I think they're both absolutely striking. We find that the white one does actually attract a slightly higher price, so I'm not sure whether these watches will still be on our website by the chance you see this video, but the white one is slightly more expensive than the black one. No reason for that. It's similar in a way to the Rolex Daytona. The white dial makes more than the black dial, but it has been that way for many, many years. And then again, same bracelet, good old trusty oyster bracelet, really, really comfortable to wear. Still, in fact, got stickers on the back of this clasp. Again, this one, a 2022 unworn watch. There we go. I'll also just show you to camera, if I lift this up, which I probably should have done on some of the other ones, it just gives you an idea of what it's like on the wrist as well. I think this watch takes a lot of beating, I really do. I think it's just a great watch, and you know, if you don't want to be spending, you know, 12, 15, 20,000 on a sports watch that's way over list, I think this is a really, really good watch. You know, accurate to plus or minus 2 seconds per day, great big power reserve. If your eyesight's not so good, it's a really easy one to read the time on. Again, some people find the blacks easier, some people find the whites easier. You'd need to try them and see what works best for you. But yeah, I think that's a really good one. So a lovely watch to finish on. So there we are. That brings us to the end of today's video, talking about the journey of the Rolex Explorer. Hopefully that's been helpful to perhaps help you understand whether the Explorer is ready for you. Now, we're always trying to do things better. So we've got better cameras. Our videographer Scott's been trying to hone his skills to do even better editing for me. I'm sorry we can't change the old guy here in front of the camera, but I'm trying to learn more about these watches. But you know what? I'm not here to try and give you the nth degree detail on all these watches. You can go and find that all about online. I just want to tell you how I feel about them, how I think they would maybe suit you. But when we're not doing YouTube, in parallel with that, we have an Instagram channel and a Facebook channel as well. And Ben, who's working with Scott, is now doing our photography and just trying to take some really beautiful photographs of these watches to show them off at their best. So please go and have a look at us. Edinburgh Watch Company is the name of the Instagram and the Facebook channel. Go and have a look at them and share any comments you may have on them. And of course, the main thing about Edinburgh Watch Company is I'm here to help you. If there's any of these watches you're interested in, if you're perhaps thinking about selling a watch, then why not just pick up the phone, give me a call, drop me an email. We're here to help you. Thanks so much for watching today. Remember, if you've enjoyed the video, just give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, share any comments you have with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.